Have you ever heard a speaker and during the speech you're thinking to yourself, what they said really touched me. I wish I could tell them how much I enjoyed their speech. Or have you ever heard a speaker and you think to yourself, gosh, I kind of lost my way. I didn't really understand where they were going. I liked it, but I didn't quite get the message. Or you think to yourself, I wish I could have seen more of this. All of those thoughts that come up when we hear presentations in Toastmasters, we get that opportunity to deliver that feedback. Because Toastmasters International is the largest public speaking and leadership club, offers feedback as an integral part of our weekly meetings. In fact, there isn't one Toastmasters club around that doesn't include evaluations. So evaluations is what's hooked me, Gina Cefalu, as a distinguished Toastmaster for 20 years of membership. That hook was that evaluations are what makes the club better, which makes the speakers better, and really what's kept me coming back year after year. And so why I wanted to share evaluation and the importance of it for not just the clubs, but for people in general in everyday life. So thinking about evaluations in the club reminds me of a little story of how an evaluation at a speech can translate to giving evaluation out in the general public. The story goes like this. I lease a car from a dealership in Pleasanton. This car has to go in for routine maintenance, and so what I would do is I would plan to have my maintenance done about 45 minutes to an hour before my Toastmasters meetings. And I'd arrive, check in, and get all set to go, and then I'd take the free shuttle to my downtown Pleasanton meeting. Well, one day I did this and I checked in and I didn't see the shuttle. And I sort of inquired, where's the shuttle? Well, the shuttle driver was up in Danville, another 15, 20 minutes away, and wasn't due back. And I thought to myself, well, I've got to get to my meeting. I'm actually opening the meeting that day at noon, and I'm about 15 minutes away. Realizing I didn't have any options to wait, I got on my app and I dialed up. Well, I looked at Uber and I looked at Lyft, and which one would get me the quickest? I ended up dialing up a Lyft and got to my meeting in time. But after that incident, and I kind of was sweating it out, I thought to myself, I need to give this dealership that feedback because that's their promise, that we'll check you in, we'll deliver you, it's sort of one of our free services, and it's kind of one of the things and reasons that I bought into this dealership. So I gave them the feedback and I said, I think it's important that you realize there wasn't enough time, there wasn't really a shuttle available, and I did go out on my own and I got a lift and everything was fine, but I just really wanted to give you that feedback. Well, lo and behold, not even a month later, I have a hole in my tire. And I show up at the dealership, and what do I see on the window? But a very large sticker as you come in and then on the desk with the Lyft logo. And it said, we proudly offer Lyft to all of our customers. Please inquire within. Kind of thought to myself, they took my feedback. They really did. I affected some change with a company. So I told that story to my Toastmasters club, and we went around the room and we said, where are we getting a chance to give feedback, the skills that we've learned in Toastmasters, out in the real world? And you would be amazed at the discussion. If you think about it, on any given day, how many times are you asked for your feedback? On the phone. You might have just gotten off an insurance call or claim, or a medical claim, or a phone, or any kind of services, and they ask you to please hold the line to answer a brief survey. Now they've upped the ante, companies have, and they're asking you to complete surveys for feedback and get a chance to win $100 or get a $10 gift card to coffee, something like that. And I'm starting to see this pattern more and more, and I'm realizing feedback is valuable. Companies and corporations are willing to pay a lot of money and spend a lot of time accumulating feedback because they know it really does affect their bottom line. And here we've been doing it at Toastmasters on a weekly basis since the beginning of time, since really the beginning of Toastmasters, and no Toastmaster meeting survives without evaluations. So I put together a program and I thought I'm going to share what has worked for me over the years as an evaluator. We have contests in Toastmasters, and I've entered the contests not because I want to win, but because I want to challenge myself. And I had the privilege of winning the best evaluator for District 57 in 2016. And so I was invited to share some of the thoughts of what makes a good evaluation. And so I'm going to share that with you today. The first and most important is that you have to be genuine. And you cannot prepare for an evaluation because people will see right through it. You have to be genuine. You have to tell people how the speech affected you from the heart so that they know right off the bat that you're giving them exactly how you feel. Now, how does one do that? You comment about how the speech topic affected you. If somebody's talking about their childhood, you can say that it struck me that reminded me of something of my childhood. And if there's something that was humorous, you can comment on that. What's great about evaluations is you need nothing but a piece of paper and a writing utensil and engagement. And I tell people to write things down as you go. If you hear something in a speech that you like, please write it down. If you hear something that worked really well, write that down. If something is happening in a speech that bothers you or is distracting, let's say, that's really important feedback. How many speakers do you know that jingle their change or jingle their jewelry or play with their hair or do something so distracting that you as the listener, as the audience, just want to go out and just grab them and say, stop it? Those are great pieces of feedback just on movement alone that you can comment on and help somebody grow and become a better speaker. Now, are some things off limits? Certainly there are. There are 3 don'ts when it comes to evaluation. The first don't is probably not very obvious. The first don't is we know that everyone has room for improvement. So the first don't is don't show up and say there's nothing that you can do to improve yourself. There's always something. Even the best orators out there, the ones that you think of that are perfect, there's something that you can come up with. And that's the challenge. You have to come up with something. That's the rule number 1. The second is you don't want to be preachy. You don't want to sound like you know it all and sort of have that typical, this is how you're supposed to do it, thou shalt not. And so you want to keep it very conversational. This is how it impressed, this is what my impression was. Of course, that's just my opinion. I don't have any authority. I don't have any real, lay down the law. So that's really important. And then what's funny is in Toastmasters, when you're giving an evaluation, it's very typical that you'll talk to just the person that you're giving the evaluation to. But you forget that there's a whole room of people out there. And so what I've told people is it's not just a one-on-one conversation. There are a lot of people in the audience that are learning from what you're telling them. So instead of keeping it just a one-on-one private conversation that everybody's kind of looking in on, we want to make sure we're engaging with the whole entire audience. Because evaluations give you, as the evaluator, an opportunity to learn and to grow. The speaker gets to learn and grow from your comments. But the third element is the audience, because the audience is learning. And there are a lot of clubs that will do a little evaluation slips. So if I give an evaluation, I get slips of paper and feedback from my members, and they'll say, I'm so glad you said that. I couldn't agree with you more. Or I really like this point because I hadn't thought of that. And so even the evaluator gets evaluated by feedback from all of the members in the club. So it's a win-win-win-win. And I don't believe Toastmasters would be the organization it is today without evaluations. Because it's really not for people that know it all about speaking. We're all here to grow and learn and get that feedback. So the more you practice it and the more you try it in Toastmasters or in the real world, you're going to grow. And that's the gift. The gift is that you give, the person receiving the evaluation learns from it, and you learn by giving the evaluation and digging deep and having the courage to sort of give that feedback. And it ends up being a gift that keeps giving and giving.